Discovered my wife's affair with her yoga instructor, hired a PI, gathered proof, and vanished before she knew what hit her. I didn't expect how far my wife would go. You'll be shocked at what she did. I, 38M, caught my wife, 34F, cheating on me. Not just cheating, full-on affair, ongoing for at least 2 months, with her summer yoga instructor. The cliché of it almost makes it laughable, almost. But it's not funny. It broke something in me I don't think I'll ever fully get back. To understand how we got here, I need to give a little background. We've been married for 9 years. We met in our late 20s, both working in the same building, me in IT consulting, her in admin support for a wellness startup. She was fun, spontaneous, and had this charm that made everything feel easy at first. We were that couple everyone thought was too good to be true, always taking weekend trips, posting cute anniversary pics, the works. Our friends called us the balanced couple, because she was all yoga and meditation, and I was spreadsheets and meal prep. It worked. Or I thought it did. Looking back now, I can see there were cracks. Little ones that slowly widened over time. About 2 years ago, we hit a rough patch. We started trying for a baby, and it didn't happen. She blamed the stress, I blamed the timing. Eventually, we both just kind of stopped bringing it up. Instead, she threw herself even deeper into her wellness journey, more retreats, more classes, more finding herself, through expensive yoga memberships and eucalyptus candles. I supported it though. I worked more hours so she could go part-time at work and focus on her passions. That's the thing that kills me. I really did everything I could to give her the space to grow, thinking we were growing together. Instead, she was detaching, and I was just too naive, or maybe too trusting to see it. The first weird sign came in June. She started going to this new yoga studio across town, some hot vinyasa soul flow thing. She talked about it like it was a religious experience. And this guy Xander, I kid you not, that's really his name, was apparently the Messiah. She would come home from class glowing, sweaty, and smug. I'd ask about her day, and she'd give me these half-baked answers, all while texting nonstop. At first, I brushed it off. I figured it was just a harmless crush, like the way people get obsessed with a spin instructor or a Peloton coach. We were still sleeping together, still laughing sometimes. But her phone? Glued to her. Notifications silenced. She never used to do that. I started noticing patterns. She always stayed after class to talk about breath work. Sometimes she came home late, claiming she'd gone for smoothies with the girls. Once, I asked what kind of smoothie she got, just to make small talk, and she froze. Like full deer in headlights froze. Then she snapped back with, "Why are you interrogating me?" Interrogating? It was a question about a smoothie. I knew something was off. I just didn't know how deep it went. And that's when I did something I never thought I'd do. I hired a private investigator. Alright, so like I said, I hired a private investigator. It felt slimy, I'm not gonna lie. I had never been that guy, the paranoid husband, checking phones or showing up unannounced. I used to roll my eyes at people who said, "Once trust is broken, it's over." Because I thought trust was something you build, not guard with cameras and spyware. But this time, my gut wouldn't shut up. And I'd rather feel dirty for knowing the truth than stupid for ignoring it. So I reached out to a PI recommended by a friend of mine who went through a nasty custody battle last year. The guy's name was Joel. Former cop, retired early, and basically looked like if someone gave a Labrador a camera and a set of lockpicks. Super friendly. Too friendly, honestly. I met him at a diner 2 towns over, spilled the story, and he nodded like he'd heard it all before, which, judging by the creased file folder he kept in his glove box labeled yoga instructors, he probably had. Joel started tailing her the following week. He said he'd be discreet, and I believed him. He also said not to expect anything juicy for at least a week. I didn't have to wait that long. Day 2, he sends me a photo. My wife. In her yoga outfit. standing way too close to a shirtless man with a man bun and a sleeve tattoo of, wait for it, a phoenix rising from a lotus flower. She's laughing at something, he said, hand on his bicep. Not the friendly, good job hand. The, I want to touch you but I'm pretending it's casual hand. It made me nauseous. But I didn't react right away. I told Joel to keep going. I needed more than one flirty moment to justify blowing up my life. Maybe she was just being, I don't know, playful? Day 4, Joel sent video. They left the yoga studio together. Not in the parking lot. Not on the sidewalk. They walked 2 blocks to a juice bar, grabbed drinks, and then walked hand in hand into what I later found out was Xander's apartment building. They didn't come back out for 3 hours. He got footage of her leaving with her hair pulled up differently, makeup smudged, and this look on her face like the cat who got the cream. Or, in this case, the instructor who got the wife. I had to sit down. That night, she came home and kissed me on the cheek. Cheek. Not lips. She said traffic was insane and class ran long and Xander was showing us a new cool-down technique. I asked her what it was. She looked me dead in the eye and said, "It's hard to explain, but it's more of an energy exchange than a movement." What the hell does that even mean? I didn't sleep that night. I kept replaying the footage Joel sent me, over and over. Watching the way she touched him, smiled at him, walked with him like they were the ones married. The next day, Joel gave me the full report. Photos, timestamps, videos. Apparently, this wasn't a one-time thing. It had been going on for weeks. Tuesday classes. Thursday, private sessions. And one Friday afternoon where she told me she was visiting her sister out of town, but she was at Xander's place instead. I didn't confront her right away. Something in me just shut down. Instead, I started planning. I went cold. Emotionally, I mean. I pretended things were fine. I told her I was swamped at work. I stopped asking about her classes. I even kissed her goodbye like nothing was wrong. But inside? I was unraveling. I started packing a few things here and there, just the essentials. I opened a private bank account and redirected my paycheck. Got a burner phone. Booked a storage unit. If she could lie with a smile, then I could leave without saying a word. I wasn't sure when, but I knew I was going to vanish. Leave her the lie she built, and let her sit in it. But I needed one more thing first. I needed to confront her. Not because I wanted answers, I already had those. I just wanted to see how far she'd go to protect the fantasy she was selling me. Spoiler, she went way farther than I expected. So yeah. I had the proof. I had the plan. I had the quiet rage simmering behind every fake smile I gave her. All I needed now was the moment. That moment came sooner than I thought. It was a Saturday morning, 2 weeks after Joel gave me the report. I was making coffee in the kitchen, already halfway through packing a second suitcase I'd hidden in the trunk of my car. I had cleared my personal laptop, backed up everything important to the cloud, and started paying bills through the new account I opened. That morning, she strolled in wearing that stupid yoga hoodie, the one that says inhale confidence, exhale doubt, and I remember thinking, you're inhaling someone else's sweat, babe, not confidence. She kissed me on the cheek again. Still the cheek. I was keeping track now. Oh, babe, I forgot to tell you, Xander's hosting a weekend retreat in Sedona next month, she said, rummaging through the pantry. He wants me to help co-lead a few sessions. I froze. You're co-leading now? She smiled like it was no big deal. Yeah. He says I have a really intuitive energy. I didn't say anything. I just nodded, sipping my coffee, letting that sink in. Then, this is where it all hit the fan, she got a text. Her phone was on the counter, and she picked it up casually. I didn't mean to look. I didn't even try. But she gasped. Literally gasped. And then panicked. Like full-on screen dimming, phone locking, oh crap, kind of panic. You don't react like that to a Groupon notification. I played dumb. Everything okay? She laughed, too loud. Yeah. Just forgot to reply to one of the girls from class. She sent me a funny meme. Silly. Silly, I repeated, staring right at her. She blinked, looked down, then muttered something about taking a shower and walked out like her heels were on fire. The moment she left the kitchen, I walked over to the counter. The phone was locked, but I knew her passcode, her birthday, classic narcissist move. I tried it. It opened. I didn't even need to scroll far. There it was. A whole thread with Xander. Pictures. Voice notes. Him calling her my little sunbeam. Her telling him she wished I'd just take a job overseas already. Screenshots of our calendar, where she had marked dates with MY name, but in parentheses wrote Z. And then, the part that shattered me, a message from her, timestamped just 2 days prior. I told him I'm pregnant. He thinks it's his. I think it might be yours. Don't freak out, I'll handle it. I dropped the phone. Not from shock, though I was shaking, but because something inside me just went numb. I sat down at the kitchen table and stared at nothing for a full 10 minutes. Pregnant. She might be pregnant. And she didn't know who the father was. And she was going to handle it. Like it was a task. Like it was a misplaced receipt. That's when I decided I wasn't just going to leave, I was going to vanish. The plan was simple now: wait until she was out of the house, take what I needed, and ghost. No note. No text. Nothing. Just empty closets and silence. But then she did something even worse than lying. That night she got drunk. She came into the living room after downing half a bottle of Chardonnay and started picking a fight over something stupid. I didn't refill the filtered water jug or something. She called me emotionally distant. Said I was withholding energy. Yeah, I didn't know that was a thing either. And then she looked me dead in the face and said, "Sometimes I think I settled. You were safe. Boring. A spreadsheet in human form. Xander feels me. He gets my frequency. You don't even try." I didn't react. I just stared at her. That scared her. She backtracked real fast, trying to joke it off, blaming the wine, saying she was just stressed. But I'd heard what I needed. She didn't respect me. She didn't love me. And she sure as hell didn't deserve me. That night, while she slept off the wine, I emptied the rest of my closet. I took my passport, laptop, hard drives, a few framed photos that mattered to me, not us, just me. I left my wedding ring on her nightstand. The next morning, I was gone before sunrise. Gone without a trace. So I left. No note. No goodbye. No dramatic monologue in the doorway while she sobbed and begged me to stay. Just gone. I slipped out at 5:13 a.m. on a Sunday morning. She was dead asleep, snoring with one leg kicked out of the blanket like always. I stood there for maybe 30 seconds before I left. Not because I second-guessed myself, nah, that part of me was long gone, but because I wanted to look at her and remember this version of her. The quiet, peaceful one. The one that didn't exist in real life anymore. I drove 5 hours to a buddy's lake house he rarely uses. Joel, the PI, hooked me up with a burner phone just in case I needed to reach him. I stayed completely off my normal phone. Disabled location sharing. Deleted social media. I even logged into our shared Netflix account and changed the profiles to goodbye and liar. Petty? Sure. But satisfying? You bet. I spent the first day at the lake house in a daze. Just me, a bag of clothes, some whiskey, and Joel's file folder of betrayal. It felt like someone had pulled the emergency brake on my entire life. I was supposed to be planning a family, renovating the guest bathroom, arguing over backsplash colors. Not sitting on a dusty couch in a stranger's cabin eating stale Pop-Tarts while my wife snuggled up to a tattooed man bun who called her a sunbeam. But here we were. The weirdest part? She didn't call. Not once. Not for 3 whole days. I expected a meltdown. Maybe even cops at my door. But radio silence. It messed with my head. I finally broke down and called Joel, thinking maybe she had figured something out or was trying to track me. Yeah, he said. She's looking. But not that hard. What do you mean? She called the local precinct the first day. Reported you missing. But get this, she told them you'd been mentally unstable lately. That you might be having some kind of breakdown. I just sat there. Mentally unstable? Joel continued. She's building a story. Trying to get ahead of whatever fallout she knows is coming. Probably laying the groundwork in case you go public or file for divorce. It's a damage control move. I laughed. Out loud. Like full-on, bitter, you've got to be kidding me laughter. She was already rewriting the narrative. I went ghost, and her first instinct was to turn me into the crazy one. Not. My husband left me because I cheated and lied and maybe got pregnant with another man's kid. Nope. Just a poor little yoga wife abandoned by her emotionally distant, mentally unstable husband. But that wasn't even the worst part. On day 4, I got a notification from my bank. Joint checking account, drained. I had already moved most of my savings to the new account, but she cleaned out the joint one we kept for bills. Rent, utilities, subscriptions, all of it. Gone. She even transferred my autopay credit card to her Apple ID. I had officially been robbed by my own wife. I called Joel again, pissed. He calmly said, "Let her dig. Let her go too far." What the hell does that mean? It means the more rope she has, the harder she'll hang herself with it. And boy, did she. The next day, she posted this on Facebook. Joel sent me screenshots. Broken heart, please respect our privacy during this difficult time. My husband has left unexpectedly, and we're working through some painful emotional issues. Mental health is important, and sometimes people need space. I love him and I'm hoping for healing. Please send us good energy. Folded hands. She even tagged me. Tagged me? On a post about my supposed breakdown. And the comments? Oh, they poured in. Her friends were all, "You're so strong, he doesn't deserve you," sending light and love. One of her friends actually wrote, "You gave up everything for him, and this is how he repays you?" And she liked it. I was shaking with anger. Literal hands shaking, vision blurring fury. But I didn't comment. I didn't reply. I didn't call her. Because I wasn't done yet. She wanted to play a game? Fine. Let's play. So by this point, I'm officially the villain in her story. Mentally unstable. Emotionally distant. Probably wandering the woods barefoot whispering to squirrels, if you believe her version of things. And she's the tragic heroine who tried to save our marriage while I spiraled. And the worst part? People bought it. Her friends, her coworkers, even her mom messaged me on Facebook, bless her sweet, clueless soul, saying, "We're all praying for you. Come home. Let love heal you." Heal me from what? Her? But whatever. Let her play that game. She had no idea what I was really doing behind the scenes. Because while she was posting yoga selfies and passive-aggressive quotes about letting go of toxic people, I was sitting on a gold mine of evidence, and planning the quietest, cleanest exit I could pull off. First, I met with a lawyer. Dude was sharp. Young guy, hungry, clearly not jaded yet, and absolutely thrilled by the kind of airtight proof I laid in front of him. I showed him Joel's file. The pictures. The videos. The text messages. The pregnancy message. The fake mental breakdown narrative. He looked up and said, "We're gonna nuke her." That was the exact phrase. Nuke her. We got the paperwork ready. Separation, division of property, freezing the joint accounts. I filed for divorce that day, on the grounds of infidelity and emotional distress. Turns out, in our state, if you can prove marital misconduct, the court doesn't look too kindly on the cheater when it comes to asset division. So guess who was about to lose the car she manifested into her life? Yup. My little sunbeam. And I wasn't done. I cancelled all the auto-pay utilities on our shared place. The internet? Gone. Streaming services? Poof. Her precious organic produce subscription box? Sorry, no kale for you, sweetheart. Then I had the locks changed. Because, fun fact, she was technically the one who moved in with me after we got married. I bought that condo a year before we even met. It was mine. Title, mortgage, all of it. She'd been living in my home like it was hers, redecorating it in shades of beige and spiritually appropriated throw pillows. No more. Joel helped me coordinate a time when she'd be at yoga. He and a locksmith went in and switched out the locks. I wasn't even there. I was 2 hours away, eating tacos with my buddy Nate and watching her Instagram stories like it was a live countdown to implosion. And right on cue it came. Monday, 6:17 p.m. A voicemail. Screaming. Crying. Screaming while crying. What the F*** did you do? How could you do this to me? I had a student class in the living room tomorrow. You're destroying everything. I listened, smiling. Took another bite of taco. She followed up with a text 2 minutes later. This is illegal. You're gonna regret this. I know my rights. I sent back one thing. Check your email. In her inbox? A PDF from my lawyer with the official separation paperwork, copies of the PI's report, and a personal note. Since you enjoy performing, consider this your closing act. Goodbye. Cue silence. It was the most peaceful moment I'd had in months. But the peace didn't last long. Because 2 days later, she showed up. At the lake house. Yup. She found me. Okay, buckle up. This is where things went from. Wow, she's messy. To. Do I need to call actual security? It was Wednesday. Quiet, early morning. Fog rolling off the lake, coffee in hand, dog at my feet. One of those moments where you almost forget your life's been blown up by a crystal-huffing yoga imposter. And then, a knock on the door. 3 quick bangs. Aggressive. Not neighborly. Not UPS. The kind of knock that carries audacity. I froze. Looked out the side window. Saw a white Prius with a Namaste AF bumper sticker and immediately knew. It was her. Barefaced, wearing leggings and a tank top like she was about to bless me with unsolicited enlightenment. Hair in a messy bun, eyes full of rage. I didn't open the door. I just watched. She knocked again, harder. Then started calling out my name. Not yelling, but loud enough to make the birds scatter. I know you're in there. We need to talk. This is insane, you can't just disappear like this. Oh, sweetheart. Watch me. I stayed put. I didn't make a sound. But my heart was pounding, because how the hell did she find me? This lake house wasn't even in my name. It belonged to my college roommate's uncle. The address wasn't tied to anything digital I'd used. No phone data, no social media posts, nothing. So how? I'd find out later that she bribed Joel's assistant. Paid her $300 and some free yoga sessions in exchange for one text with a street name blurred in the background. That's all it took. She zoomed in on a picture Joel sent me of a lake sunset, and recognized the dock. That's how far gone she was. I kept watching through the blinds. She started pacing on the porch, muttering to herself, phone in one hand, coffee in the other. Then, after a few minutes of silence, she sat down. Right there on the steps. Like she was gonna wait me out. For the next 3 hours, she sat there. Crying sometimes. Yelling other times. At one point she tried the guilt trip monologue. Through the door. I was scared, okay. I made mistakes. But you just left? Like I didn't mean anything? You abandoned me when I needed you most. Do you even care if I'm pregnant? Do you care if it's your kid? That one almost made me open the door. Almost. But I didn't. Because I remembered who she really was. The woman who lied to my face, snuck around with her tantric brodersha bag, and then tried to steal from me while painting herself as the victim online. I stayed quiet. Eventually she left. Peeled out of the driveway so hard her tire kicked up gravel into the porch screen. Good riddance. Later that night, she texted me. I see now. You were never the man I thought you were. Cold. Cruel. Emotionally stunted. You just run away when things get hard. Maybe that's why we never got pregnant. Maybe the universe knew better. That one hurt. I sat with that message for a while, reading it over and over. I felt sick. Angry. Betrayed. And yeah, ashamed. Because even after everything she did, she still knew exactly how to jab the knife in the softest part of me. But you know what? That was the moment I stopped mourning the marriage. That message was her last Hail Mary. She didn't come for closure. She came to manipulate, twist, regain control. And when it didn't work, she went nuclear. Because 2 days later, she called my job. So yeah, she called my job. At this point, I shouldn't have been surprised. But somehow, she still found new depths to hit, like she was mining for fresh crazy in an underground vault of manipulation. It was Friday morning, and I was finally getting back into a routine. Working remote, handling emails, talking to my lawyer about finalizing asset freezes. Things were finally starting to feel stable again. Calm. Then my boss calls me. Now, my boss is chill. Like, dad joke telling, flannel wearing, backyard smoke groaning kind of chill. So when he called and wasn't cracking some joke about fantasy football, I knew something was off. Hey man, so I got a weird call this morning. Figured I should run it by you. I froze. Who called? Some woman. Said she was your wife. Claimed you've been missing, mentally unwell, possibly manic, and said she's worried about your behavior affecting your work. I just sat there. Mouth open. Completely speechless. He continued. She didn't give me many details. Just said you've been unstable, possibly in danger, and might be managing sensitive information while in an emotional crisis. Then she hung up. I had to physically steady myself against the kitchen counter. She really said that? She really tried to paint me as a risk to the company? I told him the truth. Or at least the condensed, professional safe version. We're separating. She's not taking it well. I've got legal counsel involved, and I've been working remote while things get handled. I'm not in any kind of mental crisis, I'm just trying to protect myself. My boss paused and then said the best possible thing I could have heard. That's all I needed to know. Don't worry about it. She sounded off. I figured there was more to the story. We've got your back. God bless this man and his Costco-grade empathy. But still. That shook me. She didn't just want to hurt me personally, she was trying to destroy everything. My stability. My income. My reputation. This wasn't heartbreak. This was warfare. I called Joel. He wasn't surprised. Apparently, this is a textbook move for manipulative partners when they feel control slipping. They start calling employers, friends, even neighbors, spinning a version of events that makes them the victim and paints you like a threat. I told Joel I wanted to go public with the evidence. Post it all. Burn her fake narrative to the ground. But he advised against it. Let the legal stuff finish first, he said. If you throw gas on the fire now, it could backfire. Let her keep digging. So I stayed quiet. Again. Even though my fingers itched to post screenshots of her calling Xander, the only real man I've ever known, while she was kissing me goodnight just 2 hours later. Instead, I blocked her number. That night, she emailed me. Subject line. We need to talk. It's not what you think. The email? I only slept with Xander once. You've been distant for months. I didn't know how to tell you I was hurting. I still love you. I still believe in us. I can forgive you if you just admit what you did wrong too. We can go to counseling. You don't have to throw everything away over one mistake. One mistake. Like I tripped over the curb and accidentally fell into another man's bed. She ended it with, if you don't respond, I'll have to assume you're abandoning the marriage and take appropriate action. Oh, now we're threatening legalese, huh? I didn't respond. I forwarded the email to my lawyer, who actually laughed and said, "Well, there goes her leverage." The thing about pathological liars? They always think they're smarter than everyone else. But they forget that receipts exist. And I was saving every last one. But she wasn't done. Because 2 days later, Xander messaged me. Yeah. Xander. The Sunbeam Whisperer himself. So yeah. Xander messaged me. Let me repeat that for the people in the back. The guy who'd been sleeping with my wife behind my back for weeks. The same guy who allegedly knocked her up and got his post-yoga enlightenment all over my marriage, decided to slide into my inbox. And not even in a normal way. Not like, "Hey man, sorry about all that, my bad." Oh no. He sent me a voice note. On Instagram. I didn't even know we followed each other. Apparently, he followed me months ago, when she tagged me in some couples challenge thing. I must have followed back without thinking. Anyway, I opened the message. And when I tell you this man's voice made me want to punch incense, I'm not exaggerating. He started with, "Hey brother. I hope this message finds you in a space of openness." Openness? Dude, the only thing I want open right now is a window to throw my phone out of. He went on. "I just wanted to reach out, man, to acknowledge the hurt you're probably feeling. Energy has clearly shifted between you and Alana, and I understand that this must be hard. First of all, it's Alyssa. Not Alana. But sure, you get us, Xander. I know there's been some confusion. Alyssa and I share a powerful connection. It's not about the flesh, bro. It's about awakening. We've been aligning chakras and exploring emotional surrender." Aligning chakras? That's what we're calling raw-dogging my wife now. He continued. "She told me you were closed off. Controlling. That she felt unseen. I don't want to cause you pain, I really don't. But sometimes the universe rearranges people in your life for your highest evolution." I stopped listening at that point. I had heard enough, energy alignment, to last 5 reincarnations. Instead of replying, I took a screenshot and sent it to my lawyer, who said verbatim, "If this guy testifies in court, I will personally order popcorn." But then Xander did something even worse. He posted a picture on his Instagram. Him and Alyssa. Shirtless in a field. She's on his back, laughing like she's never known consequences. The caption? "Sometimes the soul finds home in unexpected places. Dizzy seedling #healing together #sacred union #conscious love." Comments were full of the usual yoga cult crowd. "You two are goals. Such pure vibes. Love always wins. She deserves happiness, folded hands." And there I was, in the shadows, watching it all like some kind of ghost husband, screaming into a void of rose quartz and delusion. At this point, I was done being quiet. I called my lawyer and said, "Let's move. Fast." He filed a motion for exclusive use of the marital home. Remember, I still legally owned it, and filed a restraining order for harassment. Between the emails, voicemails, showing up at the lake house, the job call, and now her boyfriend messaging me? The judge was going to have a field day. Meanwhile, Alyssa must have sensed the shift, because the next email I got from her? It was desperate. No more Zen. No more sacred union. Just, "Can we please talk? You're ruining everything. This doesn't have to end like this. I still love you." Still. Love. Me. This woman didn't love me. She loved control. She loved the idea of me. The security. The house. The status. I was the boring, dependable foundation she could stand on while chasing a life that felt bigger. And when I finally stopped being her safety net? She panicked. Because she realized she had nothing left to stand on but Xander, a dude who thinks taxes are a colonial construct. I didn't reply. Instead, I called the locksmith one more time. Because guess who showed up at the marital home next? Alright. Strap in, because this next part? It was like stepping into a bad Lifetime movie written by people who've never interacted with consequences in their entire lives. So I'm sitting at the lake house, drinking coffee, watching the mist roll across the water like I'm in a melancholic indie film, when I get a ring notification on my phone. Motion detected, front porch, marital home. I check the feed. There they are. Her parents. Bob and Cheryl. Not their real names, but they absolutely look like a Bob and Cheryl. Bob's got the dad posture, arms crossed, lips pursed, standing like he's about to tell someone how disappointed he is. Cheryl's holding a folder like she's about to hand me divorce pamphlets and herbal tea at the same time. They press the Ring doorbell. Ring. Hi, you're on camera. Please leave a message. Bob leans in like he's never spoken to technology before. Hi, it's Bob. Alyssa's father. We'd like to speak to you if you're home. Spoiler alert, I'm not. And even if I was, I'd rather watch Xander do naked goat yoga than open that door. They knock a few more times. Wait. Try the handle, locked obviously. Then Cheryl starts talking. We understand things have gotten complicated. But Alyssa's hurting. She made some mistakes, yes, but so have you. I actually said. Oh, F*** off**. Out loud to no one. She's told us everything. Cheryl continued. We want to help mediate. Maybe bring in a counselor. This doesn't have to get ugly. We're all adults. Oh, now they want to mediate. After their daughter blew up our marriage like it was a full-body detox and tried to ruin my job, drain my accounts, and gaslight me with chakra memes? Nah. I let them keep talking. Mostly out of curiosity. Like watching a car try to reverse up a cliff. Then Bob drops this gem. We just think, maybe if you'd been more attentive, she wouldn't have strayed. Excuse me? I paid the bills. Took care of the house. Supported her when she wanted to quit her job to focus on her spiritual growth. I bought her a whole damn yoga studio membership. But I should have been more attentive? You can't make this stuff up. Eventually they leave a manila envelope on the doormat. Joel grabs it later that afternoon when he swings by to double-check the cameras and make sure the locks are secure. Inside? A handwritten letter from Alyssa. I'm not joking. Like full notebook paper, slanted cursive, scented with something suspiciously like lavender oil. It looked like a breakup letter from an 8th grader who's just discovered feelings. She opened with, I know you're hurt. But you need to realize you created the distance between us. Then went on about how Xander showed her what it feels like to be emotionally safe. How our marriage was rooted in comfort, not passion. And how some souls are meant to pass through, not stay. She closed with, I'm still open to reconciliation. But only if you're ready to own your part in the wounding. You know what? I am ready to own my part. Here it is. I married someone who lied, cheated, manipulated, and tried to ruin me when I wouldn't let her rewrite the truth. That's on me. But here's the good news. I wasn't playing nice anymore. My lawyer had already set the court date for temporary orders. I'd filed for full asset protection, exclusive use of the home, and spousal misconduct. With Joel's documentation, texts, ring footage, and now her parents' recorded visit, we were airtight. My attorney said her letter was a gift. Meanwhile, she must have sensed the storm coming, because 2 days later, her tone changed completely. She showed up at my grandmother's house. Yeah. My sweet 83-year-old grandmother, who bakes pies and knits scarves for charity. Alyssa knocked on her door and said, I just want to talk to him. I love him. I know you're close. Please, just tell me where he is. My grandma, God bless this woman, smiled sweetly and said, Oh honey, he told me if you ever showed up, I should call the police. And she closed the door in her face. That night I got a text from an unknown number. Your grandmother is a cold-hearted b**********. I see where you get it. Ladies and gentlemen, we've officially crossed into unhinged territory. I screenshotted it, forwarded it to my lawyer, and poured myself a glass of whiskey. I was done playing defense. It was time to end this once and for all. Alright, folks. This is the part where all the chaos finally collided in one beautiful, chaotic, karma-soaked courtroom. We had the hearing scheduled for Tuesday morning. It was just for temporary orders, asset freeze, exclusive residence rights, harassment protections. Nothing wild, unless you count the nuclear meltdown that unfolded. I showed up in a navy suit. Clean shave. Calm. My lawyer briefed me on everything. He said, "Keep your answers short, clear, and let the facts speak." Easy enough. I was ready. Then she walked in. Alyssa. Draped in beige like she was the ghost of poor decisions. Long flowy cardigan, earthy tones, that damn, soft girl, makeup she always wore when she wanted to look like the wounded flower instead of the arsonist. Xander wasn't with her, but I swear I smelled patchouli. She didn't look at me. Not once. She sat next to her lawyer, a woman who looked like she'd rather be anywhere else. And then, the hearing started. Now, if you've never been to one of these things, it's not like TV. No slamming gavels or "Objection!" shouting matches. It's mostly paperwork, questions, and legalese. But what was interesting was watching Alyssa's face as every single piece of evidence was laid out. Joel's PI report. Ring doorbell footage. The emails. The voice messages. The screenshots of her Instagram post claiming I was mentally unstable, timestamped one day after she cleaned out our joint account. The judge read over it all and asked her lawyer, "Do you dispute the evidence presented?" Her lawyer hesitated. Then quietly said, "We acknowledge the communications are authentic, Your Honor." Translation: Yeah, she did all of it. Then came the part one didn't expect. My lawyer slid over a piece of paper to the judge and said, "We'd also like to submit a formal declaration regarding a recent revelation, paternity uncertainty related to a possible pregnancy." The courtroom went quiet. The judge looked at me. "Mr. R, are you claiming the respondent is currently pregnant?" "I'm claiming she said she was." "In writing." "Then said she wasn't." "Then said she was again." "We don't know the truth because she won't confirm anything." That's when Alyssa snapped. "I told you I had a scare. It's none of your business what I decide with my body," she yelled across the room. The judge leaned forward. "Ma'am, if you are pregnant and it may impact spousal support or custody proceedings in the future, you must disclose it." Her lawyer put a hand on her arm. "Alyssa, stop talking." Too late. She started unraveling right there in front of the judge. She started crying, rambling about how I abandoned her, how Xander was just a phase, and how she wasn't trying to hurt anyone, just looking for connection. I'll admit it, I felt something. Not pity. But this strange mix of disgust and closure. Because in that moment it hit me. She wasn't evil. She was empty. A person who filled every void with attention, energy, chaos, anything to keep from facing her own wreckage. The judge restored order and granted every single one of our requests. Exclusive residence rights. Restraining order granted, for me and my grandma, hell yes. Emergency freeze of all marital assets. Mandated disclosure of pregnancy status within 14 days. We walked out of that courtroom and into the sunlight like we just survived a damn war. My lawyer turned to me and said, "That went about as perfectly as it could have. I doubt we'll even go to full trial. Her side will push for a settlement." But I wasn't ready to settle. Because on the drive back to the lake house, I got a call from Joel. "Hey, you might want to sit down. I found something. Something big." Bigger than the affair? Bigger than the attempted character assassination? Xander's not who he says he is. I pulled the car over. My heart was pounding. "What the hell do you mean?" Joel sighed. "He's got a record. And I think Alyssa has no idea." So there I am, parked on the side of the highway, staring at my phone like it just told me the moon's fake and my whole life's a simulation. Joel's voice is steady, like he's done this before, like digging up dirt on home-wrecking yoga instructors is just another Tuesday for him. "His real name isn't Xander." I blink. "What?" "Xander is short for Alexander, which is whatever." But he legally changed his last name about 6 years ago, right after he was released from a correctional facility. My stomach dropped. And before that? His name was Alexander Jonathan Stetson. That name meant nothing to me. At least not yet. He served 18 months for wire fraud and aggravated identity theft. Ran some scam wellness retreat pyramid scheme in Arizona. Took money from single moms, retirees, even a cancer patient. It was bad. I was speechless. He cleaned up the image, changed his name, moved states, got certified as a yoga instructor in a holistic online institute. The kind that takes Venmo and no background checks? He paused. Alyssa has no idea. She's been tagging him in every post, giving him all this visibility, and he's got a paper trail a mile long. I sat there for a full minute, just breathing. Cars sped past me. My phone buzzed, voicemail from an unknown number I already knew was Alyssa. This changed everything. It wasn't just an affair. It was a scam. She was being manipulated, too. Granted, she invited the vampire in, but she didn't know he was draining her for blood and not just vibes. I asked Joel, "Can we prove she didn't know?" He hesitated. "Hard to say. She's sloppy, but not stupid. I doubt he's shared anything real with her. He's good at this. Charming. Calculated. Knows how to prey on people looking for meaning." And holy hell, it clicked. Alyssa had been searching. Always. For attention. For spiritual highs. For something that made her feel special. And Alexander, had handed it to her on a bamboo tray with mantras and massages. Joel added, "We can tip off the authorities. Quietly. Let them take it from here." I gave him the green light. Why? Because suddenly, I didn't need revenge. I didn't need a social media war, or to go all scorched earth. I just had to wait. Xander's past would catch up with him. Alyssa would find out. And when it all crumbled? She'd know I knew, and I didn't say a word. I let her choose her own destruction. That night I poured a drink. Sat on the dock. Watched the stars. Felt peace for the first time in months. Until... bang 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 on the lake house door. I jumped, heart thudding. Looked at the ring cam. It was her. Alyssa. No car. No suitcase. Just her. Standing there, makeup streaked, hoodie zipped up to her chin, looking like someone had just pulled her life out from under her. I opened the app audio and said one word. "Why are you here?" She looked directly into the camera and whispered. "He's gone." I didn't say anything. She added, "I need to talk to you. Please." It's not what I thought. I muted the mic, sat there. Thinking. She was broken. Shattered even. Not just from losing me. But because the man she blew up her life for? Wasn't even real. But I didn't feel satisfaction. Just silence. She banged again, harder this time. "Please! I have nowhere else to go." I considered it. And then I turned off the porch light. So I left her standing there in the dark. I figured she'd give up, cry dramatically, maybe post a cryptic quote on Instagram about closed doors being divine protection. You know, classic Alyssa stuff. But she didn't leave. She sat on the porch. For hours. I watched her on the ring cam, curled up on the step like a stray cat in designer leggings, barely moving. Every now and then she'd whisper something like, "Please," or, "I didn't know," to the door, not even realizing I could hear her through the camera. And maybe I should have ignored it. Maybe I should have let her sit in that silence, and feel what I felt the day she walked into Xander's apartment like it was hers. But I cracked. At around midnight, I opened the door. She stood up slowly, eyes red, cheeks raw, hoodie sleeves pulled down over her hands like she was trying to shrink herself. Before I could say anything, she mumbled, "I'm not pregnant." I didn't react. Just waited. I lied. "I thought it would make you talk to me again. I never cheated before, and then it got out of control, and I didn't know how to stop." I said nothing. "And Xander?" Or Alex? She gave a bitter little laugh. I found out today. A friend from the studio Googled his real name after someone saw him flirting with a married woman during class. It's all online. News articles. A blog from one of the women he scammed. I asked him about it, and he disappeared. Deleted his number, blocked me, moved out of his apartment. Gone. Like I did, I said flatly. She nodded. There was a long pause. She didn't ask to come inside. I think she knew better. Then came the part one didn't expect. I don't want you back. I know I don't deserve that. I needed to say it to your face. It up. Everything. She took something out of her pocket, her wedding ring. She held it out to me like it was an apology wrapped in metal. I kept it. Even when I was lying to you. I don't know why. I didn't take it. I just looked at her, this woman I once thought I'd build a whole future with, now standing in the same spot where we used to watch fireworks and sip cheap wine like we were invincible. I finally said, You didn't just cheat on me. You took me for granted. You used my trust like it was a doormat and wiped your guilt all over it. And the worst part? I might have forgiven you if you just told the truth from the beginning. She was crying now, but she didn't beg. She just nodded, like she'd already prepared for the no. And then she turned and walked off the porch. No car in sight. I don't know how she got there. Or where she was going. But I didn't ask. I went back inside, shut the door, and slid the deadbolt into place. And this time? It felt like I was locking out the last piece of that broken chapter. A few days later, my lawyer sent over the draft of the final settlement offer. She wasn't contesting anything. No alimony. No claim on the house. She even waived her rights to the car we shared. Just nothing. She walked away from it all. Or maybe she realized she never really earned any of it in the first place. I didn't respond to the offer right away. Because something still didn't sit right. There was one more loose end. Xander. Joel had news. And what he found next? Made the whole thing so much darker than I ever expected. When Joel called me with one last thing, I didn't expect to be pulled deeper. I thought the storm had passed, Alyssa had broken down, Xander had ghosted, the legal process was almost done. The chaos was supposed to be settling into paperwork and memories. But it wasn't over. Xander, Alexander Jonathan Stetson, the man with the voice like melted soy candles and a soul as fake as his chakra beads, hadn't just disappeared. He had gone to ground, the way people do when they know what's coming. Joel had been digging, not because I asked, but because something about Xander didn't sit right. And when Joel gets that itch, he scratches until it bleeds. Turns out, the yoga thing wasn't even his longest con. It was just the latest mask. Before Xander started bending suburban wives into sacred positions, he had been the face of a holistic wealth collective. The kind of thing that looked legit on the outside: sustainability workshops, digital detox retreats, kombucha brewing classes, but was really a front for a shady crypto scheme that wiped out the savings of over 24 people, mostly single women and recent divorcees. He built it all under a pseudonym, of course, hiding behind a fake LLC and a half-finished blog that hadn't been updated since 2019. The kicker? Alyssa had unknowingly given him access to her own online branding tools. Her social media accounts. Her client contact lists. Her digital payment platforms. It was all connected. She wasn't just his mistress. She had been his next launch pad. And she had no clue. Joel managed to pull IP logs, access patterns, even flagged messages tied to her accounts that were routed through VPNs he'd used before. He found dummy landing pages, coming soon, wellness brands that had her name on them, her name, but linked back to crypto wallets tied to one of Xander's burner identities. She wasn't just a willing participant in an affair. She was the face of his next scam, and he left her holding the bag. Joel sent it all to me in a file labeled karma.zip. I didn't know what to do with it at first. Part of me thought, let her burn. Let her name be dragged, let her explain herself when the authorities eventually come knocking. Let her become another cautionary tale in a Facebook group for women who fell in love with fake gurus. But the other part of me, against all logic, all hurt, all the cold walls I'd built, felt something else. Pity. She had built her world around people reflecting her beauty back to her. Xander just angled the mirror the way she liked best. He used her vanity, her desperation for purpose, and her access to me. To my resources? My stability. My damn house. She was a puppet, sure. But she still let him tie the strings. Still, I didn't want her dragged publicly. I didn't want my name in blogs, or court cases, or on Twitter threads about toxic relationships and scammy yoga cults. So I made a choice. I sent her the files. No commentary. No explanation. Just the truth, zipped up and dropped into her inbox like a final offering. She didn't respond. But I knew she saw it. The next day, her wellness Instagram disappeared. Then her business site. Then her LinkedIn. Like a slow, silent erasure of a persona she no longer wanted to claim. Later, Joel told me she went to the police. Not to turn herself in, but to give a statement about Xander. She provided access to her emails, forwarded the files. She admitted she had no idea what he was planning. Maybe she was lying. Maybe she was saving herself. I didn't care anymore. I was done. Truly done. I sold the condo. Took the hit on the real estate market just to be free of the memories. Moved into a small place closer to work. Gutted my socials, went private, built a firewall between the man I was and the man I was becoming. The day the divorce finalized, I didn't pop champagne. I didn't cry. I didn't text anyone. I just stood on my balcony with a cup of coffee, watched the sun rise, and breathed. A long, deep inhale. And an even longer exhale. Divorce is quieter than you think. It doesn't explode. It dissolves. It slips through the cracks of your routines and disappears into paperwork and signatures, until one day you realize the person you built a life with is just a contact you no longer need. After everything, there wasn't a dramatic final fight. No screaming in parking lots, no sobbing voicemails. Just silence. Alyssa signed what needed to be signed, handed back what little was hers, and walked away. Whether it was out of shame or survival instinct, I didn't know. I didn't care anymore. The months after were strange. My days were suddenly my own again, but they felt foreign. I'd sit at dinner alone, plate full, TV off, wondering how the hell I used to fill the space when I was just a man and not a husband. My new apartment was clean, quiet, and hollow. The walls didn't echo, but they didn't feel like they were listening either. I started running again. Not in that metaphorical, chasing purpose kind of way, just actual running. Every morning. Cold air in my lungs. Feet pounding pavement. It hurt at first, like my body didn't trust me to carry it anymore. But then I started breathing easier. Sleeping harder. Thinking less. Work became a refuge. I took on more projects, buried myself in long hours, made myself useful again. My coworkers, most of whom only knew the surface version of what had happened, treated me the same. That helped. I didn't want sympathy. I just wanted normal. And slowly, I built a life that didn't have her in it. No more scented oils in the shower. No more soulful playlists. No more walking on eggshells trying to read her moods like they were cryptic spiritual texts only she could interpret. Just me, my routines, and a growing appreciation for peace. But peace is tricky. It creeps in like fog, soft and subtle, and then one gust of wind can blow it away. For me, that gust came in the form of a letter. Handwritten. No return address. Postmarked from 3 towns over. It was from Alyssa. She didn't apologize. Not exactly. It was more of a reflection. A carefully worded essay about trauma and transformation and all the things she was unpacking, now that she had space and solitude. She wrote about Xander, how he was the first person to make her feel chosen, and how she mistook validation for love. She claimed she didn't know the full extent of what he was doing, that she was blindsided, that she would spend years making peace with her part in it. She mentioned the pregnancy scare. Said it wasn't a manipulation at first, just fear, and then when she saw it gave her power, she leaned into the lie. Said it shamed her more than the cheating did. She didn't ask for forgiveness. She didn't ask for anything. At the end, she said she hoped I had found stillness. That I had learned how strong I was without her. I folded the letter neatly, slid it back into the envelope, and tucked it away in a drawer I never open. Not out of hate. Not out of nostalgia. Just closure. There's no poetic twist here. No unexpected reconciliation. No revenge fantasy fulfilled. Just a man, a broken marriage, and the long, slow crawl back to himself. Some people burn down their lives and dance in the ashes. I walked away before the match was even lit. The truth is, you never walk away from something like this unscarred. You just learn how to live around the scars. It's been over a year since I walked out that door. Since I packed up the pieces of my life and rebuilt them brick by brick in a place she's never seen, in a version of myself she never really knew. And what I've learned is this. Sometimes, love doesn't end in betrayal. Sometimes it starts there, quiet, unnoticed, disguised as compromise. And it grows in the shadows of ignored red flags, unspoken resentments, and all the tiny ways we betray ourselves to keep the illusion alive. I ignored the signs. I let things slide because I believed that being a good husband meant being endlessly patient, endlessly forgiving, endlessly available. But I lost myself in the process. And she didn't steal me. I handed myself over piece by piece. What happened with Alyssa and Xander wasn't a one-off mistake. It was the inevitable conclusion of a relationship built on performance instead of partnership. And honestly, I'm grateful. Not because I dodged a bullet. I didn't. I took it. Straight to the chest. But because now I know what it feels like to survive something that should have broken me. I know what real love isn't. It isn't begging someone to be honest. It isn't watching them fall in love with a stranger while you hold the door open. It isn't being blamed for their emptiness. And it sure as hell isn't letting yourself be their backup plan. I don't know if I'll get married again. I don't even know if I want to. But I do know this. Next time, if there is a next time, I'll walk in with my eyes wide open. My boundaries intact. My spine straight. No more bending to be loved.